All right, everybody. Welcome to our brand new podcast, Culz Talks Pop Culture. You guys seem to enjoy our kind of random talk Grayson, Alex, David, and myself did while we were supposed to be filming Ghostbusters. So we figured why not make a podcast, kind of go over the month's worth of topics, usually culminating in a bigger topic. As you can see, this time we're talking new masks, same task, Doctor Doom taking over for Kang and being played once again by RDJ. Now we'll get into kind of our theories towards the end. You can also see each month we will be doing a monthly comic or monthly book or something. This week or this month we checked out Secret Wars because it's Doctor Doom, and unfortunately Marvel apparently is not very good at making trades or keeping them in print, because Doctor Doom actually had a pretty cool omnibus, but not in print no more. So while we kind of kick this off, we'll introduce everyone one by one. We will be having David as well joining us. But Alex, we will start with you. Just let the viewers know about you. Obviously, you've been on our channel for some deep dives and kind of what you enjoy about pop culture or comics and that kind of stuff.
Hello, Internet. My name is Alex. Everyone's cringing already. No, you might know me from the Ghostbusters deep dive where things got really weird. I do apologize for that. But hey, sometimes you need to do that just out of curiosity. Fiction is fun, and just go, hey, what really did happen off screen? Anyway, so I was invited onto this podcast for Secret Wars. I do like comics, but I've not been keeping up for them for a while. So yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun to read some fictional work and then discuss it. Maybe get into some weirdo nerd discussions or nerd arguments. So it's all good. Also,
all right, so no more cut off. No, kicking off to Grayson, who you guys should know has been in 15 videos, from sports to movie deep dives to random day trips to South Dakota and back. Grayson,
awesome.
Do you want to introduce yourself and you talk about pop culture and what you enjoy about it, I guess?
Yeah. I'm Grayson. As Keegan said, been around the channel for a little bit, been here and there. Probably seen me do my Jeff Goldblum impressions. Not good ones, mind you, but they're there.
Not good.
Anyway, not good. No. Anyway, pop culture. Been a huge fan of just pop culture in general since I was a kid. Loved comic books, sci-fi, movies, entertainment, all of it since I was young. Obviously, huge nerd, huge comic book fan, huge sci-fi fan. So love talking about all that. Love being here for that. And, that's pretty much all I got to say about that. So.
Well, also joining us tonight is Nick, who you guys should know from all our Spider-Man videos and one Ghostbusters, very long deep dive. Nick, do you want to kind of go over what got you into pop culture and comics?
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, the pop culture and comics, I wouldn't say a huge fan like Grayson over there, but I would say I am a fan for sure. As you mentioned, I was in the Spider-Man deep dives, and I always enjoyed the character of Spider-Man because I always enjoyed the aspect of what he must do for the betterment of the world he lives in versus like the conflicts he has within himself. And I've always enjoyed the way that plays out. And I always try to put myself when I'm reading comics, because I don't read them a lot, but I always try to, when I'm reading them, to put myself in each character's mindset to see like if I think similarly to them or if I think absolutely different. But really, I enjoy pop culture and comics because it expands my mind.
Well, and I guess while we're waiting for David before we get to Secret Wars, A movie we haven't talked about.
Keegan, why don't you introduce yourself? What got you into pop culture and
Yeah,
comic
who are you?
books?
Am I here?
All right,
Alex,
what's up, guys?
Alex, I need you to mute yourself. Okay.
Yeah, so you guys probably have seen me in one of the 1,000 videos I've posted at some point on YouTube. What's gotten me into pop culture, I don't know. Big fan of the Joker and Batman. My dad's a huge Batman fan. I can remember seeing most of the Batmans in theater. So I don't know if that was it, but yeah, we're here now. Grew up in the time when the MCU kicked off, when it wasn't supposed to be a thing, and then it grew into what it was. And it's kind of dipped off lately, but maybe we're going to get back on the right track. Again, we don't want to spoil too much for that later discussion. But one movie I did want to talk about that I know we haven't talked about on the channel, actually 2 movies, the Spider-Verse movies. Nick, Grayson, Alex, you guys have all seen it, correct?
No. I saw the first one, not the second one. The first one was cool. Sorry. You guys talk. Talk amongst yourselves.
Alex is no longer affiliated with the Culz channel.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Shut myself off here.
All right, thank you. Awesome.
Bye.
Finally got rid of that dude. Man, he sucks.
Grayson, what were your thoughts? Because I don't even think you and I have talked about the latest Spider-Verse movie.
Honestly, I thought it was good. I think honestly, I think it was a good movie, but I'm kind of ready for the trilogy to make its wrap up sooner rather than later. Because as much as I enjoy the multiverse, I feel like it's honestly pulling on the dollar string as much as it can to try to stretch that out as much as possible, and it's starting to get a little old. I'd rather have a better Spider-Man story than a pretty good multiverse of 20 different Spider people. So I'd rather see, them actually do right by their characters like Venom or, Carnage or Kraven the Hunter or even Morpheus. Or not Morpheus, Mobius. I'd rather see them do better stories of that than try to pump all their money into making a Spider-Man multiverse for toy sales.
Yeah, no, the first one I remember watching and just being really kind of, it was just really amazing how the story was plotted. It was a really good just character story with great art. Both of them are really artistic in how they portray, and each character has a different style they draw them in.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, I know you're a big fan of both of them. Is it because of your love of Spider-Man, or is it art or movie making? Like, what is it?
It's a little bit of it's definitely a lot of Spider-Man, being a fan of Spider-Man, but I also have a great appreciation for how movies are made. I took a film class in college actually, and I learned quite. It was an introductory class, but I learned quite a bit and learned how to appreciate quite a bit from that class. So I do enjoy the filmmaking aspects of things sometimes, but it was definitely more of a Spider-Man fandom thing. And as you just mentioned, the first one actually had a really good story and said really good character development and really kind of brought Miles Morales into the limelight that the comics just haven't been able to since 2011 when he first made his appearance. And then the second one, I think my gripe with the second one is the same thing that Grayson just said. I want the trilogy to wrap up. I enjoyed the second one. And I enjoy the story they're telling, but I'm still ready for that third film. I've been waiting for it for a long time.
Well, and I think kind of the poor news there is it's put on indefinite hold. So we'll see when it comes out. I'm sure it will at some point. It's not one of those where, like, what was it, Armor Wars or whatever, where I think they're just pretending like they forgot to announce it, or the Inhumans, because they did announce it as a Comic-Con, and we are introducing David.
Hello.
David is here.
David!
What is up?
And here's our other host, David, from Abnormal Voyages. But David, if people haven't seen you on abnormal voyages, what are they doing? If they haven't seen you here again, what are they doing? But
Wait,
tell the
they're wasting their lives. That's what they're doing.
Wow. Like, way to
Hey.
call out. Like, what are you, Cardi B, calling out your fandom? I don't know why you follow me.
What are you doing? I don't.
But David, do you want to tell the viewers about what got you into pop culture and comics and that kind of stuff? Because you've visited some of these museums and that kind of stuff.
Oh man, yeah. So, I mean, honestly, pop culture has always been one of my major loves. Like, big time into different fandoms and things like that. Superheroes in general. Like, I've been a Spider-Man fan since day one. Always been my top hero. Loved all of them. Even though I would say I fall a little bit more on the Marvel side, still very much appreciate DC and things from there. In my opinion, as long as it's a good story, that's what I'm interested in. And I think with the kind of modern day, what we're going around with what's popular fandoms, things like that, that's where some of the best stories come from. I think that that's kind of what makes them a fandom is people fall in love with these stories. They see their dreams and hopes and something that they can kind of relate to, even in the most fantastical of stories. And that kind of, really brings it home and kind of gives them another world to live in. So pop culture in general has always been something that I've been fascinated with, seeing how it's changed throughout the years, how, even if it's super different than when it may have started or several decades ago, there's still kind of those general themes that run throughout it when you really look at the heart of these stories and what interests people. So I really like seeing not only how it's the same, but the way that it's affected people and culture moving forward. It literally shapes who we are as a society and a world. And, you can't get more human than that.
Well put, David.
Yeah, that's a better explanation than what I said. I said, I don't know. Here I am. All right. But yeah, so like with any of these shows, we're going to do a monthly comic. Usually we'll probably save this till the end. I don't know. Maybe we'll keep it at the beginning. But today we're going to kick off with it just because I think it's so integral to the rest of the stuff we'll probably be talking about. Now, today we're going to be talking the 2015-16 run of Secret Wars, which we all read. I want to know, though, David, did you read this when it was coming out?
I did. I actually, for a small amount of time, worked in a comic book shop, and it happened to be in the years, or I guess the year that this was kicking off in those months. And I hadn't actually read the original Secret Wars at the time, so I read that first just to kind of get a good idea. Like, I'd had bits and pieces. I know that's where the black suit originally came from for Spider-Man and all that kind of great stuff, but I hadn't really dived in. So I read some of that to get ready for it, and then read the new one and kind of picked it up every week with the different Battle World stuff that was coming out, the different like rehashes of the stories for it. And it was exciting. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, that's something I know Alex and Nick and I were talking about was the Battle World, because how much did that add to the overall story, do you think?
Oh, I think Battle World was awesome. I personally, I really enjoyed it. I mean, if you looked at it from a TV standpoint, it was kind of an excuse to do not quite a clip show, but kind of go back to your old favorites because they took a lot of the more iconic, recent decade or so storylines like Civil War, things like that, and they were able to say, in this part of the world, that story is happening again, or this is what would happen if that got expanded. It was kind of like an excuse to do a whole lot of what if stories and kind of revisit things that people had liked and be like, so what if in Civil War it would have become a whole country thing and we had a red half versus a blue half? What would that have been like? And they have a whole storyline with that. I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't necessary. I think you still could have definitely gotten it across with just the main storyline, and it would have been nice. It would have been a good, tight story. But I think Battle World was fun.
Alex, was this your first time reading this run of Secret Wars?
Yeah, it was. It totally was. Like, I was aware of the original 80s Secret Wars. And I read this one, and I know this was kind of like the culmination of the Marvel 616 universe and the Ultimate 1610 universe because comics get all weird, and they're like, oh, we gotta like do something to keep stuff going. So I read this, familiar with both universes, but like not leading up to this. It just seemed like bizarre. It's like, oh, what's going on here? We have a weirdo Reed Richards with a weirdo helmet who calls himself the Maker, and he's allied himself with the Cabal, which is Thanos and his crew, and then the 616 Richards, who's like making a life raft to bring on board all these people that can rebuild society. I guess I don't know. It was bizarre. Anyway, but yeah, comics are weird.
Right. I was gonna say, to me, it's kind of similar in if kind of like a non-DC fan picked up Doomsday Clock, just perhaps how they would feel. I don't know.
I
Just reading
could
it,
kind of see that. It was a
Yeah.
lot, very, very reminiscent of like Infinite Worlds, Crisis, and things like that.
yeah. Grayson, first time reading this, or were you able to read it when it came out?
No, definitely first time reading this. Yeah, no, it was an interesting story. A lot of the stuff I knew because, I mean, when I was younger, I didn't really get to read many comic books, but I kind of just did grow up with like, the ever expanding part of YouTube. So I was able to learn like a lot of the comic book facts of like, Comic Historian and all that kind of stuff. And at least channels similar to that growing up. So I started to get reading this. I knew some of the details going into it. So it made, a lot more sense to me than, anybody else that might have gone in without any sort of like forehand knowledge of like the multiple Reed Richards or like the possible universes and the realities that, existed in that kind of were coming together and colliding in like this story. So, but yeah, it was still enjoyable to me sorry.
And I mean,
Nick,
let's be honest. It only existed so that they could retcon everything and do whatever they wanted.
100%.
That's true.
Like that. At the end of the day, it was totally like, let's start over.
Well, isn't that kind of what all comics are for, though?
I mean, to a certain extent, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like what Alex said. This was a way to bring all the kind of different verses they had out there, like the Ultimates and things like that, and just be like, those don't exist anymore. Everybody's thrown together. A lot of people die, and then we start over with just one.
it's much like DC when they always do their Infinite Crisis one, because they always do it like every 10 years.
Right,
a rebirth,
like going
or
into
Flashpoint.
the New 52 and all that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nick,
Even
first
after
time reading it?
Hang on, Alex, what are you trying to say?
I was gonna say even after the New 52, like DC like rebooted, like not too long after that.
Which was crazy that they did it so soon.
Yeah.
Oh,
very-
with Rebirth? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Rebirth I thought started off well, but I think DC got ahead of themselves and just started releasing way too many comics.
Oh, sure.
And it just became, some titles had 2 comics a month, and you were at the end of the month, you were trying to pick up like 40, 50 comics. I mean, it just kind of became insane to try to keep up with.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. If I didn't work at a comic book shop when Secret Wars had happened, I probably would not have picked up all the different Battle World, ongoing, et cetera, storylines. I might have read the core ones and maybe 1 or 2 that interested me, but I think they had like 10 or 15 different Battle World stories happening. I'm not on board with that.
Now, to you, Nick, was this your first time reading Secret Wars, this one?
Yes, it was. It was the first time reading it. I was aware of it when it was coming out because I have a friend who's a comic book person, and like he was telling me about it. He's like, "Oh," and so like he's the person I go and see all these Marvel movies with. So he'll tell me, he's like, "Oh, they're building up to this. They're building up to this." But yeah, it was the first time I read this, and I was lost a little bit, but I also again was a little bit familiar with some of the background of why it was happening. So I always take things at face value. So I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I will say, reading this, you can see where I guess some of their ideas for where they were taking this universe was going, as far as the MCU goes. because you start to see some of those kind of like main characters they've been introducing last phase. But it is very interesting to just do it with Kang. But I guess you can slide him in pretty easy. And I guess that's why they're just doing Doom, because they're like, well, it's his story anyway.
Well-
Yeah, I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but that it was still going to lead to Doom for Secret Wars. Just somehow it was going to be Kang leading into it instead of having the whole like Doomsday. So I don't know if they're just expanding what they were going to do with Doom and giving him a whole movie to do it or what. But I agree. I don't know if Kang alone could have made Secret Wars happen.
So real quick,
There-
I just
there
want
is-
I just
there's
want to
plenty of-
mention real quick that from my understanding of things in the comic book world, especially for Marvel, is that Doom is considered to be one of the more bigger, like one of the bigger villains in overall
Absolutely.
Marvel.
100%.
Yeah.
So they weren't just like trying to like retcon him in. It was always gonna be Doom.
Like
It
it would
is-
have to be. Like there's no way. I think we would have started seeing him sooner if it wasn't for Fantastic Four taking so long to happen.
Mhm.
That's the thing. Like the problem is, like there were 2 Fantastic Four movies, and
There's
both
3.
had Doom in them. 3
There was
movies
2
was better.
two franchises is what he's saying.
One
I think.
franchise we don't talk about because it was just awful.
Well, then, yeah, there's
I
the
still have-
90s one.
I still have yet to watch
Oh,
the
the nice one,
latest
yeah,
Fantastic
nice.
Four, but I want to at least once.
The latest one's the awful. Like I actually the ones that Jessica Alba and they're like that was okay. But Chris
They
Evans
were-
is the,
The
all right.
20th Century Fox ones, yes.
Yeah. The Fox
Those
ones were
ones-
okay. They were good.
Those
for what
ones
they
they were entertaining enough.
until they made Galactus a giant cloud. It was so stupid.
Hey, they did the same thing in Green Lantern, so
Oh, and you see how much we all love that movie.
Ryan Reynolds specifically.
I love Ryan Reynolds. He can say
That's what put Ryan Reynolds on the map. That's how we all know him today, right?
No. I'll let you know. I know Ryan
Wait.
Reynolds from rom-coms,
Wait.
okay? Like a man.
Okay. Definitely maybe is one of my favorite movies. Okay, that movie.
It is
that movie
my
slaps.
favorite movie. It
I
is
don't
my
care what
favorite.
anybody says.
Wilder.
That
That's
is
the
and
reason. That's the
Proposal?
reason.
Wait,
It's the
another
reason
great
why
movie.
Van
so
Wilder?
when it comes
That's
to
why
definitely
Van
maybe
Wilder?
when it comes to definitely maybe the one character collects different copies of Jane Eyre.
Yeah.
Because of that movie, I now collect different copies of The Picture of Dorian Gray because that was like one of the first books I read outside of school for my
That's
own
actually
pleasure.
super cool.
Yeah,
I like
So I have like 10 to 12 copies right now.
Yeah, that's legitimately one of my favorite movies. That is a great movie. One of the best rom-coms out there.
Oh yeah. But no, I did not. I've not even seen Green Lantern. Although again, it's
You're
one
not
of those.
missing out.
It's one of those awful movies that people talk about, and then I'm just like, how bad? Like,
You know,
I
the
want to
thing is,
experience
like,
the bad too.
the thing is, I get what they were going with. I think it's the fact that it didn't make it is what made it so disappointing. Like there was so much potential because he could have been a great Hal Jordan. It could have kicked off an awesome franchise. They just tried too hard. They tried to put too much in it and got carried away.
Well, that seems to be DC's problem in general, is they swing way too hard for the fences and they can't pull anything down. They're trying
Yep.
too hard to try to be Marvel when they haven't done the legwork to actually earn anything.
Exactly.
That's
Like
the
we
thing.
should not have jumped right into Batman versus Superman. That should
100%.
have been way down the
Yeah.
road. Justice League should have been
That's-
like 10 years later.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so
That's
they
the problem.
they're like, and here we go.
They see Marvel- Sorry,
Yeah,
they see
we-
Marvel and they're like, let's repeat that. Let's duplicate that. And then when they do, it's just like, no, audiences don't like it.
They
They don't
needed
do
to
it
just
right.
they needed to do their own thing. That's what always made
They
DC
should.
good was
Yes.
they stuck with their own stuff. Marvel did this, DC did that, and it was fine. If they
Yeah.
start duplicating each other, that's where it starts to really it doesn't work.
So I'm
It's
not
like
a
the
huge.
Monday Night Wars of WCW and WWF.
Well, it's like for some reason even though WB has been around for forever and they've owned DC forever, for some reason they thought they could tap into the same marketplace without doing the same amount of work, which still baffles me to this day.
They tried to
So-
jump on the bandwagon. They were like, "Oh, we're
100%.
superheroes. Let's go."
Well, it's
So
like, what still gets me is like Suicide Squad being announced like directly after the success of Guardians of the Galaxy and it just being the worst team up movie I've ever seen outside of Batman versus Superman.
It was
That
it
was
was
brutal.
bad.
It was
Yeah.
bad.
So I'm gonna do a hot take real quick. The last good DC movie was The Dark Knight.
Oh,
I
the
think
Joker
the
came
Batman was
out.
pretty good.
The
Yeah,
Joker,
Batman, Joker.
Joker's good. I forgot about the Joker. That
But you know what? I wouldn't put Joker at the same level as The Dark Knight.
Oh no, Dark
True.
Knight is far superior. But
Yeah,
as far as recent movies, the
because
Joker.
even Dark Knight
actually good.
Returns was not very good.
No.
No.
It was all right.
It's
it was all
grown on.
right.
You
It's
merely
grown on
adopted
me.
the darkness.
Hey, my
adopted it.
I'm Welshbane.
I'm just saying in the new 4K release they did, Bane's voice is different. So
I gotta say though, that was still a much better Bane than the one we got back in the '90s. So
oh for sure.
just the
Hey, I still like his comic book disguise, where he's just at the airport in like a hat and coat, and it's just like his Bane mask.
You know, I don't want to go off onto a tangent because this could be an episode of its own with Batman, but why do we have to keep using the same villains every single movie? He's got such a great rogues gallery of so many cool people. Like, let's see some Clayface in there or something, like anybody except.
Dude, I'm dying for a Mr. Freeze movie.
That's a very good point. There's never been a good live action portrayal of Clayface.
Never, and we could totally do it with the technology now, the CGI. It could be awesome.
Well, I think we're supposed to be getting Clayface in the next Reeves Batman movie.
Instead, they're like, let's do the Riddler, but this time he just kind of puts tape on his face.
This time he's the Zodiac Killer.
Look, he is a Redditor and he has feelings in his edgy, okay?
Yeah, okay, what if incels killed everybody?
He's a Redditor.
Look, he's edgy, dude.
Oh, man.
He's got feelings, man.
He's the edgy guy.
Hey, he plans his crimes on Discord. Let's go.
Oh man,
Look, he has a whole subreddit dedicated to his Riddler followers. All right?
That makes that movie so much worse in my mind now. Like it was already. I already didn't enjoy the 2022 Batman film because it felt like it was too long for me. But now, like that's just so funny. He was a Redditor. It's like, yep, he kind of was.
That's exactly
actually.
what he was. You know what?
Yeah.
I don't understand why, with Batman in particular, they've decided the only way to do Batman is to make it realistic. Like, part of what makes Batman great is that these villains are so ridiculous to an extent, and it's just a regular guy with a lot of money fighting these crazy ass people.
Well, you have to blame Joel Schumacher for half of that because he made it way too cartoony, so it swung the balance all the way to one side.
And now they're like, never mind, let's just make it really great. It's like, I mean, again, The Dark Knight, amazing movie, but it's almost more of like a crime suspense type movie, more so than a superhero movie.
Absolutely.
Well, just imagine if they would have made the Batman, or if Reeves starts taking a more of a turn towards a pulpy, late 50s, early 60s, action thriller / hero story. That's 100% what Batman is. And if he did that,
that'd be cool. And throw in some of these crazy villains. I want to see, again, people like Clayface that, oh shit, this guy can change his face around. That's insane. Poison Ivy, she kisses you, you're dead. Weird shit. Let's do it.
I mean, honestly, if they were to make a murder noir story with Clayface and Poison Ivy in the same thing,
oh my god, that'd be she's such a good femme fatale, and
100%.
Or even let's get another Mr. Freeze. I think Arnold's damage has been done. We can move on now. We can get a new guy.
I will say, I think Mr. Freeze is one of the Batman villains I think actually is somewhat relatable to, because he wasn't always, he's not just a bad person. He was trying to save his family. If I remember his
origin. Just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy.
He's trying to save his wife, who was dying. So yeah.
It was kind of like Sandman in Spider-Man 3, where he's doing it all to pay for the cancer treatments for his daughter. You can't really blame him for that.
It's great because villains, when villains have a righteous motivation, makes them more believable. I guess this is more a Breaking Bad sort of thing, where Bryan Cranston's character, I've never seen the show, but I know his wife is dying of cancer in the show.
Walter White.
Yeah, Walter White. So
he's dying in the show.
Is he? I never seen the show. I thought one of them was dying. Anyway,
Hey, you can actually go visit his grave in Albuquerque. So.
Walter
And
White's dead.
I've seen it. It's great.
Who?
The rest of Albuquerque, I don't know about that, but it made top 20 worst cities in the world. So
I
Anyway,
was going to say, you might end up with your own gravestone in Albuquerque.
But no, I agree. It's when they're relatable and it just gets out of hand,
Yes,
where you can
exactly.
see where it started with like the right
when
intentions.
there is
and just
actual proper motivation, and it's like, man, this guy, he sucks, but like he's got good motivation. And I don't know. For me, when it comes to the end, it's like I want to see them redeemed. Like, I don't know.
Well,
I agree, except every now and then I want somebody like the Joker who's just pure fucking evil for no reason, just loving the chaos, just bad guy, and then a mix of like the ones that you get it.
hey, all it takes is one bad day.
I want to see someone in the Joker just get blasted. I want to see the Batman. I want to see the Batman.
So Alex just wants to see Ben Affleck return as Murder Batman.
Well, see, I want to see Black Mask come back, or at least them do a Black Mask in Matt Reeves, Batman universe. I think that would be top tier, without a doubt. And like actually make it to where he builds his own villains around him. Because if they're going to stick with Robert Pattinson for the next 10 years, do storylines where he has to take down the Black Mask is important, some sort of drug that could be like Titan or something if you want to build in deeper lore for the universe.
I'd love to see them go into like the Court of Owls.
That'd be sick. I think they're he's talking about making that like the third movie in his trilogy of Batman movies.
That would fit really well with the kind of feeling I think that he's got going on there.
But just imagine he has to take down Black Mask in like a warehouse or something like that, and he has the mask on, gets burned into his skin because he's like trying to save as many people as he can, but Black Mask keeps fleeing into the warehouse, blows up, continues in there, gets stuck, creates the villain to be what we know it in the comics books to be. And if they continue the movie series with Robert Pattinson, they can still draw off of that without having to kill off all the villains.
See, my only problem with go ahead.
Or we have what's his face? Who's the comedian? Peter, what's his face? They help me.
What, Peter Dinklage is going to be Batman?
No,
yes.
not Peter Dinklage. Little midget.
Not
midget, Batman. No,
I'll take top dollar to see Peter Dinklage play Scarface.
Actually, I want Peter Dinklage to be the new Robin. And he just keeps referring to him as like a young boy. Like
I'm 42.
Robin,
I'm 56.
A young boy.
I'm older than you.
I want to see Peter Dinklage as Poison Ivy.
I want to see the version of Pete Holmes of this.
I want to see Peter Dinklage as the next Bane. I just wanted to break Batman's back. Just
takes the time to become a regular size dude.
Oh my god. He was regular sized when he was in the pit. To climb out, he had to sacrifice 3 feet.
Regular size.
What's
the Titan had adverse effects?
I'm drawing a blank on the name, and I'm not finding him on any of my searches here.
What's
the
Holmes
Batman? Dude, Pete Holmes is so good. I love all of his stuff on Dropout and everything. He is hilarious.
Oh, he is funny. What's the villain that he's black? His costume's black and orange. And he
Deathstroke?
Yeah. I want to see Batman face off against Deathstroke in a film.
That was supposed to be Ben Affleck's solo movie, the one that they wrote. That's why they have that scene at the end of Batman versus Superman where he's getting on Lex Luthor's yacht. It was supposed to be Deathstroke as the bad guy in the next movie.
Honestly, I would have.
But because that got X so hard, we're probably never going to see Deathstroke now.
I mean, honestly, if they can I could see that happening if they if they were able to pull like John Barenthal to play Deathstroke. I think it could still happen.
I mean, that's who was going to do it, wasn't it? No, it was. Yeah, that's right. Joe was going to do it. Yeah,
and I mean, he looked the part, but I think
he was going to be amazing.
100%.
Honestly, I heard one of the reasons that it all fell apart is the producers or studio said that it was too much like the comics, and Ben Affleck got pissed that they didn't want it like the comics for some reason, so they hit an impasse.
Yeah, WB, smartest studio in the world, love it.
Yeah, no, the story was really interesting because I think too, Deathstroke was going to have the fear toxin from Scarecrow, And so you really didn't know what was actually happening, but he was going to kill Alfred, Gordon. He was going to go around killing all these people. He drains Bruce Wayne's money, so he just like really breaks him, like psyche wise. And then they fight at the end. And I know they're going to bring in Jared Leto, so I'm sure everyone would have just been as excited to go watch that as The Crow.
I'm so excited about Jared Leto's Joker. Oh, Jared Leto, he's the best Joker.
But all right, what are you doing, drafting Bo Nix? All right, hey, if you guys stay tuned on Wednesday, you'll get that reference. You'll see the short. It'll come out. David knows he was there. He witnessed it live.
It was incredible.
Right. Grayson, what did you describe the Riddler as? A Redditor? Is that what you said?
I sure did.
That's what he was.
Because the Zodiac, who they based him off of, if you look at past like the 5 crimes that he actually did, he would kind of, when he started kind of fade from public view, he would just write in and start claiming he did stuff. So honestly, that's not too far off, because he was like, "Yeah, that was totally me. I was there.
I killed that guy.
That. Yeah, that was me. I'm going to do that. If you see me." So actually, that's
now
not too
here's
far
a coded message. Good luck.
Yeah, I peed on that dog. What are you gonna do about it?
Hey, you noticed that Snickers bar that went missing? Right here.
Yeah.
Reese's Fast Break? I stole that shit fast as hell.
Snap!
Stop.
The Lakers lost the other night. That was me.
The Lakers lost.
The lady across the room, that was me.
You didn't get to draft Bo Nix first. I got him.
That old white lady who's screaming the N-word at the retirement home, that was me.
Who do you think taught her that word?
I taught her to say the N-word.
All right. So on that note,
On that
Secret
glorious
Wars. Yeah. So
Hold on, wait, real quick. Last thing about Batman.
Okay.
The only thing I don't get, this, even with Robert Pattinson doing it, it's still not going to go into the main DC universe. The main movies are still going to have another Batman. Like, it's so stupid.
Isn't
these different?
Isn't that because of the fact that they wanted this to be its own separate thing? Kind of, they wanted to reclaim the glory
because they didn't want
of
it
the
to
Dark
be
Knight trilogy.
They didn't want it to be part of the steaming pile that Ben Affleck's Batman had become. And the Pattinson also does not link up with the Joker ones. So we will theoretically have 3 different Batman universes going at once.
So
they're setting up for Infinite Crisis.
At this point, who knows?
Well, that was supposed to be the Flash movie, but that some reason
even though we've already got that on TV and all that.
Yeah, we already had that.
But what they were really trying to do was, with the Discovery merger, they had to give a reason to not cancel the Batman films, because they're going to be cash cows until they stop making them. So they had to create something to basically say, "Hey, look, we're still going to make these, so don't stop giving us your money," and also see the other Batman movies to keep giving us more of your money.
But they couldn't save Batgirl. Sorry, Batwoman. Or
No, it
whatever.
was
Batgirl, right? It was Batgirl, yeah.
Lady. Okay, come on.
Hey, Michael Keaton said it was still a good paycheck.
Yeah, I love that he's like, whatever, I had fun and got paid. I feel sad though, because I did want to see Brendan Fraser get some more work, you know? I wanted to see our homeboy get on that screen some more.
Well, it's like, from what it sounded like a far better movie than what we got with The Flash. I don't know why they greenlit The Flash over Batman.
I mean, let's be honest. This podcast is a better movie.
Hey, David, some might say it's world renowned, world sought after.
Whoa. Yeah, this podcast is well sought after. Okay, I don't know if you know that.
Hey, at least we're not beating the shit out of people in Hawaii. Okay, so there's that.
Whoa. Allegedly. We can't.
That's allegedly.
Podcast is still young, Alex. You don't know what's going to happen, all right?
The night is young. We've only begun the Secret Wars conversations.
Speaking of Batman, where are the other drugs?
Where are they?
Marvel comic book live stream.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of Secret Wars, we might have got carried away. But David, is there anything that stuck out to you, whether it was a character you think could have been fleshed out better, a character that was well fleshed out, a storyline you liked, just anything in particular that really stuck out to you?
I think it was really interesting that a lot of it had so much to do with like Reed Richards and his descendants kind of thing. Like, wasn't it his son, like Franklin or whatnot, that was like kind of the crux of it kind of thing?
Yeah.
Like the Future Foundation and all that stuff. I do think anybody, like you guys kind of mentioned, just casually picking it up, just knowing the characters, but not really like having kept up with comics, you would read that and be like, what the hell is going on? That was a little, I mean, I guess you can't expect everything to be an entry point for people, so I get it. But I feel like that was a little weird. And I mean, as much as I love Doctor Doom, I don't know if it should have been a whole like, oh, Doom is all powerful, like God Emperor Doom or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if a guy with that much intelligence and power and everything he was already doing, he didn't really have a lot of reasoning for wanting this to happen. Just kind of like, oh, I'm just in charge. Like, I guess he would want power. Why not?
Yeah, see, I was going to say, just kind of off a tangent there, this version of Doom, I can see why they did RDJ outside of he's going to bring in the money, right? Because people know who he is.
Absolutely. Like acting wise, yeah.
Yeah. But also because it's very similar, they can say he's Victor. He just happens, just like, Johnny Storm's Chris Evans too. But they can just say it's his similar, like, I mean, look, new mask, same task. He's just out to try to protect the world. He's just going about it a different way than he did as Iron Man.
So
because I'm assuming they're gonna say that the like threat is the incursions. I'm assuming is going to be the multiverses bleeding into each other, and it's like, oh, this could destroy everything. So he's going to take it upon himself to merge it all to get rid of the incursions from happening.
So then let me
appoint himself as in charge.
On that topic, let me ask this. Do you guys think it's actually going to be Victor Von Doom, or do you think they're going to go for that comic book twist where there was that one multiverse where Tony Stark becomes Doctor Doom essentially, and then it ends up just being a multiverse, variant of Doctor Doom?
I think it's going to be Doom, but I don't think it's going to be our permanent Doom moving forward. I think by the end of these two that we'll get the 616 Doom as somebody else, and that he'll build up in a lot of stories for things later on.
I think they're gonna do what they did with like Chris Evans and make it Victor Von Doom, and then it's gonna fuel. Because I saw this comics on Instagram or whatever of this hypothetical that was a fan made, and basically all like Spider-Man and all these other characters that are in the MCU that knew the RDJ Tony Stark are gonna see the RDJ Victor Von Doom, and they're gonna be fueled by the desire to keep Tony Stark's reputation and all that stuff, like how his impact to the world as pure as possible, and it's gonna fuel their fight against Victor Von Doom because they don't want.
So do we think we're even gonna really see RDJ at all?
I think if you cast him, especially like Nick is saying, at least with a scene with Peter, at some point Peter has to see his face.
Or what if it's somebody else and Doctor Doom deliberately changes himself to look like Tony Stark to fuck with people and like ruin the reputation, etc., all that kind of thing.
It's actually Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio.
He's back.
He's back. Sure. He's behind it all.
Okay. If I guess the only way would be like Dr. Doom uses barf to make himself look like RDJ. But like other than that, how would that happen?
No idea.
Well, the multiverse.
How are all the multiverses going to collapse into each other?
The multiverse is kind of already explained that again with Chris Evans being both Captain America and
Deadpool
Johnny Storm.
And Wolverine definitely opened it up for anybody to play literally any role now, I think.
Well, I honestly think on that note too, with it, huh?
What was that, Alex?
Huh? What? But Johnny Storm is dead in that movie. Like he died.
That's only one Johnny Storm, though. How do we know there's not like 20 Johnny Storms that all look like Chris Evans?
Hang on, Alex. That's not what I was. That's not necessarily what I was referring to. Yes, that Johnny Storm is dead now, but what I was referring to was the fact that Deadpool and Wolverine opened up the possibility for RDJ to come back,
like other actors playing different roles than what we know them as. Yeah.
Sure.
So then
I don't want them to never acknowledge that he looks exactly like Tony Stark.
No, I agree with that.
Like
Yeah.
the same way
Again-
that Deadpool thought it was Captain America. He was like, yeah, and then it was somebody else. I want that to definitely be a thing where they're like, oh, it's Tony, he's back, and then
Well-
him just fucking like decapitate somebody.
Well,
Be like, who the fuck is Stark? You know,
He
And,
kills
like-
Peter Parker.
Like, well, yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Like, we
he
should
kills
have.
Tobey Maguire in front of Peter Parker.
No, it'll be Tom Holland because Tom Holland's not in this for the long run. I mean, at some point
he's signed for at least another trilogy.
Well,
But no,
he's signed for Sony because what Sony's just doing is eventually they're going to take Spider-Man back. Their contracts already make it so that if they use a villain, MCU can't use that same villain. It's like
Which
off
is
limits.
dumb as
Yeah, so
hell.
no
They're
Venom.
ruining all the good villains.
No Venom.
Yeah, what do you think they're putting Rhino in Craven the Hunter?
Exactly.
He looks bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd ever miss Paul Giamatti in a Rhino suit, but
Yeah.
With the bad Russian accent?
I agree.
At least with Paul Giamatti, I saw an interview with him right before, like either right before this Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out or right after. But he actually went back and studied the character. For as ridiculous as his
he
portrayal
put
was.
a lot more work into it than you would think somebody would for that role.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
But I think that's because he was planning on being in the Sinister Six movie and then the next
Yeah, for
Spider-Man
sure.
movie. Like he thought it was a multi-picture thing.
Mhm. Yeah, no.
Which honestly, I would have given Garfield one more movie at least.
Well,
Like, I
Garfield
get that two
screwed
sucked,
him.
but
Garfield screwed himself out of that because of the behind-the-scenes drama and him not
showing up to the press. Yeah, I know.
Him not showing up to the press was what sealed the deal. And had he shown up, we would have gotten an Amazing Spider-Man 3, and we would have gotten the Sinister Six and all that stuff.
Well, we would have also got him in the MCU as the MCU Spider-Man because that was
Possibly.
kind of the talking point. But he didn't show up.
Yeah, possibly.
I'm not that like that would have been okay. I like Andrew Garfield as like he does a good job as Spider-Man. I don't think
I
he's
like Tom
great
Holland
for Peter
more.
Parker.
I
Oh,
like Tom Holland
Holland
more.
is a better mix of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire was, I think, a better Peter Parker, but not a great Spider-Man. And then I feel like Andrew Garfield was a really good Spider-Man, not a great Peter Parker. Tom Holland's kind of the best of both worlds.
I completely agree with that.
No, sorry, Nick, continue.
Alex, what are you saying?
Yeah,
Your
Alex,
audio,
really
your audio is
glitchy.
like your audio is cutting in and out like at random spots, and it sounds like you're kind of just mumbling to yourself in the background here.
No, I'm saying like no. When it comes to Spider-Man, like those are legit points because the people have the same sort of idea when it comes to Batman. It's like, oh well, this actor was the better Bruce Wayne, but this guy was the better Batman, and that's awesome. So discuss amongst yourselves.
Well, I honestly think it comes down to the writing too, because they really did
That's
balance
also
out at
true.
least. Yeah, because I mean, in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, there was like a lot of talk of like how the producers want him to be like edgy skater punk boy who is so totally not cool but cool,
And who uses Bing instead of Google.
because he's so super cool because he uses Sony and Microsoft products because he's super cool.
And they give us money.
I will say I had to respect Andrew Garfield in that because he actually addressed that when it came to the fans. He's like, listen, I understand why you guys don't necessarily love this portrayal. However, Spider-Man and Peter Parker has always been kind of an outcast from society, and we had the idea of what's the modern.
He was kind of a
version.
modern day outcast.
Yeah, what's the modern version of an outcast, and that's what he pulled off.
Oh man,
Like it wasn't bad. I enjoyed the first one. It was just the second one where it went really downhill.
Yep.
Hey, it
And
was just Sony.
the second one had the same problem as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. Well, the same two problems: studio interference and packing too much into a movie.
Too many villains. Way
Speaking
too
of packing
many.
too much into a movie, did you guys hear about Sydney Sweeney being rumored to be cast as Black Cat, or at least in the talks about it?
I
Oh,
did.
yeah.
And
I'm not
I'm
sure.
100%. I'm okay with that.
100%.
I'm not sure. I love the way you set that segue up. Speaking of being packed too full, have you heard about Sydney Sweeney? It's like, what's going on?
I think if
Yes,
you
I
just
have
take
Heard of
heard
the
out,
that.
Jew, but
just take out the two, I think just packed full. We don't. It's not too full, but it's packed.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. But no, I again, that goes back to the comment of Deadpool and Wolverine has now opened up the MCU and all of comic book movies to have one actor play multiple parts.
To bring that back
And
to
I'm 100% okay with Sydney Sweeney playing
Me
the
too.
character
Yeah,
of Black
Felicia
Cat.
Hardy, do it.
without a doubt.
I think she can pull that. Sorry, excuse me. I think she can pull that role off a lot better than she did with this latest. I can't remember what the
Madam
character's
Web.
name is in.
It's
Madam
okay.
Web.
Nobody wants to talk about that movie.
I was going to say, I don't.
I watched it for the first time. That was the first time in my life I think I've ever been disappointed with CGI.
Nick, we have so many movies to show you then.
But,
I'm sure you do, but like no, it was the first time where like a movie of that kind of budget had really terrible CGI in my opinion.
Have you
Normally,
ever
It
I
seen
didn't
don't
make
care
you
about
want to
it.
drink a Pepsi?
No.
Have you ever seen The Mummy 2?
The way the sign fell on top of the guy at the very end just looked so bad.
It just reminded me they never gave that kid his jet. Did you guys ever watch that series on Netflix about the kid that redeemed enough points that he should have gotten a fighter jet?
yes,
And Pepsi like bitched out about it.
I did
Kid
not.
never
But
got his jet.
speaking of fighter jets, have you seen that Liquid? Did you see that Liquid Death a little while back? I don't know if it's still going or not, but they offered a private like plane to somebody for a contest.
no, yeah, it was the
Somebody
same thing. They're like, Pepsi did this back in the day, but we're actually going to give you a jet. So if you win, you get a private fighter jet of your own.
And Sydney Sweeney is on the jet waiting for you.
Oh shoot! she's
I didn't hear about that. Damn it!
Oh, Lord.
I gotta go to the store.
Wait, what was that? That was Liquid Death. But to bring it back to Secret Wars, do you guys think that since they announced Secret Wars after Doomsday, do you think that they're pretty much going to be setting up with the multiverse and the TVA the conclusion to the multiversal system to then kind of recreate everything like everybody does with comic books, as we already brought out?
So
Yeah, I mean, I think too, this is a way to bring in certain characters like T'Challa back with a new actor
Yeah.
because he's pretty prominent in the comic.
I heard
Plus,
it's gonna be his son grown up.
See,
that could
I've
work.
heard it's going to be a T'Challa from the Fantastic Four universe because that's going to be probably the universe that Doom comes from. That's colliding with our mainline Marvel one.
Well,
go ahead.
Speaking of Fantastic Four, I think honestly, without it being set in the 60s, I think when the multiversal like collapse kind of comes in, I think it's going to bring them up to our date and then actually force the introduction of the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and the whole 9 yards. So I think they're still waiting off to kind of set it up the right way. I think that's when they'll introduce those characters.
I don't think X-Men are going to really factor into this.
Not till
I think a little bit. I think it'll show some of them, kind of like how we've seen Beast with Monica Rambeau and all that kind of thing. Like I think we'll see some of that with Wolverine and all. But I think like the Age of Mutants is going to be after Secret Wars, and I think it's going to like because I don't think there really are many mutants in 616 right now. Besides what Kamala, isn't that our first like confirmed mutant?
Namor.
But is he a mutant in this? I guess.
Namor is a mutant.
But yeah.
So I thought it was a god from like what?
Yeah, because he was a little different. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it'll go a little bit like I think we'll do some of them, and then after Secret Wars, this new world that we have, it'll have all the mutants and be like, and then we're gonna lead up to the next big event, which will be X-Men versus Avengers.
Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of think that's where they're gonna take it.
Well, like I meant, like with that incursion, I think that's going to be the build up to, as David brought out, them bringing up the X-Men too, because once those universes collide, there's going to be evidence of these people starting to make a resurgence or a surface in this universe, and it's going to have to be introduced some way somehow.
I don't think they should bring back T'Challa just because they honored Chadwick Boseman so much, and he contributed so much to the character for the MCU. Like he's the reason why T'Challa didn't have a British accent. He didn't, because he's like, I don't want this character.
It wouldn't make sense.
No, it wouldn't make sense at all. But I can see like them doing the son of T'Challa because they've already set that up.
I think that's what it's going to be. Otherwise, that whole scene is thrown away.
Yep.
Like it doesn't make sense to why we had that if it didn't tease anything happening.
Hey, there's
however,
so many of those in Phase 4 that we are never going to get answers to.
Like
Council
what?
of Kings,
We'll
Harry
get an answer to
Styles.
that. Loki destroyed them all.
Well, I mean,
That was the answer.
That
Is
could
Loki in the TVA
that could
top
be an
down?
answer at this point with the
It
fact
was
that
gonna
Loki.
happen.
Yeah.
so
Then
I think
Loki
we're gonna
said,
get a
"Fuck you, Kang."
no. I think we're gonna get a scene in Doomsday with the recasted Kang, where RDJ's Doom is gonna do what he did to Thanos and just
So
rip out his skeleton.
supposedly, we
Yeah.
can't recast Kang.
Oh, we can.
No, supposedly that's why we're not just recasting and moving forward. Part of the contract that he signed is that they couldn't cast anybody else as Kang. That's why all the variants were him. It was like tied to Jonathan Majors. There's some big legal thing. That's why they couldn't just say, fuck it, he's somebody else.
Yep.
That's why they decided to throw away their whole storyline instead of just putting a new actor in. Because think about it, this part would have been the easiest one, hypothetically, to recast as some other actor. With everything being a variant, you easily could have gotten somebody that just looks very similar and been like, oh, that was just a couple of Kangs. They all actually look like this.
Well, I think with Kang 2, another thing that hurts him is he lost to Ant-Man, and after that, you can't be taken seriously.
He didn't, though. So that Kang, from what I've heard of, like the leaked of what was going to happen, Ant-Man sent him into the Beyonder Zone or whatever.
Mhm.
That Kang was ultimately going to come back and destroy the entire Council of Kangs.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
like the conqueror. So Ant-Man just kind of delayed him. He was definitely not defeated.
Well, he was going to be the what was his face? The guy at the end of time.
No, that was even a different one. You're talking about He Who
Was it?
Remains?
Yeah.
Different guy. Yep. This
A
one was
different-
going
yeah,
to be, you
different
know how they're
variant.
all like, so he's like He Who Remains. They had like Tutankhamun or whatever that was like the pharaoh. Like they all had different names. This Kang was specifically Kang the Conqueror. He got outcast because he was too strong. You know, they said, no, we got to get rid of him. He's a problem. He gets defeated by Ant-Man and goes through like a mental crisis. Because like you said, if you got defeated by Ant-Man, you're feeling pretty bad about yourself. So he has to overcome all these like mental things. And you remember that scene of Ant-Man where there was like 100, 200, like thousands of him, right? Like duplicating. So that's where Kang ends up. And he basically has like this whole metaphorical fight with himself, with all these clones, duplicates, whatever. And
Variants,
eventually, once he comes to peace with himself, all of those clones, because it's not variants, it's literally him. It's like duplicates of him. They become under his control, and he ends up having a Kang army of like thousands that are all him and dedicated to his purpose.
the Kang,
They show back up, and he starts out by getting his revenge on the Council of Kangs in the middle of them about to fight the Avengers, and they just fucking destroy everything. They just take out all the other Kangs. There's only Kang the Conqueror.
The Kang dynasty. That's why that film had that title.
Exactly. It becomes his dynasty. And
Well,
he destroys all the other Kangs that we've seen. Just like this Agatha all along. They had filmed a scene that we were supposed to see at the end of it where the like mystical Kang that's in charge.
He was
going
to be
Darkhold.
But they
totally got rid of that.
Is that a full series or is it already over?
It's not
a series that hasn't come out yet. It's the next one.
It comes out, I think, like next month. But yeah, that was supposed to be. It was a scene that was already filmed and going to be in it. And after all the Jonathan Majors stuff, they scratched it.
Yeah, and so here's some stuff that I was able to pull up with kind of the leak stuff that came out. Was the anchor beans were obviously big. The three anchor beans they were going off of were the Spider-Men, so Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland, with the likes of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Nick Cage's Ghost Rider also appearing. Now, they would obviously fell to the Kang Dynasty, which would set up Battle World and Secret Wars.
See, the one that I read was that the anchor being for 616 was Tony Stark.
No, here it says it's Tom Holland, which I guess would make sense if it's all Spider-Man.
See, I didn't hear anything about those other ones.
Yeah.
I heard that was him and that a lot of the Avengers are fucking dead by the time the Kangs like attack them. And they have like a final fight and Sam gets his whole Avengers assemble moment with the Avengers that are left to start fighting the Kangs. And that's when the other ones come in, kill all them, and then they're going to turn on the Avengers and like an arc appears that has like the Fantastic Four, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, like stuff like that. And they save the rest of the Avengers that aren't already dead. And that was the cliffhanger of the movie, was them like disappearing and then Kang basically taking over what became Battle World. But who knows? I guess none of them are going to happen now.
I mean, I still think we'll get Toby back. We'll get Andrew back.
Oh, they
They'll
made
bring
way
the
too much
money.
money for them not to come back.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman's coming back, Deadpool, but I know they've talked about those two not coming back till Secret Wars.
Which is
So,
fine. I think we had a
yeah.
great.
I want to
go with-
see Deadpool interact with the main MCU so bad now.
I
It'll be
just want
good.
to see a live action Hit Monkey. I mean, you give me that. Make that $1 billion movie. Come on, Nick. That is a Spider-Man Deadpool Hit Monkey. I mean, that's a great comic. Read that.
Honestly, I want the next Deadpool movie to be a team up with him and Spider-Man.
That's they're actually
Sean-
talking about that right now.
That's,
Yeah, I was
that's
gonna
got to
say-
be.
The next Deadpool
I was
movie.
just gonna say Sean
It's
Levy.
got to be the next place to go. It would be too good not to do.
I was just gonna say Sean Levy has already said he would love to make that movie.
Who wouldn't love to make that movie? The only people who get in the way is fucking Sony. Everybody else would love to make that movie.
Sony wants to make that movie. They just don't know how to.
I mean, and we can even have Black Cat. We can have Sweeney in that one. Her and Deadpool together. Come on. The jokes write themselves.
That's a PC nightmare, and I'm all for it.
A PC nightmare.
So, Alex, going back to Secret Wars, is there anything that kind of stood out to you or anything you want to bring up about the actual comic itself?
Yes. Weirdo. There's some weirdo panels here. Let me find them real quick.
He's flipping
So,
through his notes.
While he's looking at that, are we all agreed that we think this is 100% going to go off of this Secret Wars and not the original Secret Wars?
100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, no.
I
would
was
think that
even
too.
I was
The
even
only
thinking
thing-
about the MCU as I was reading it. I was like, okay, so
The
I can
only
see.
thing that makes me think it might be a little bit of the other one too, back when they were doing Infinity Gauntlet and all that, or Infinity Wars, the Russo brothers said Secret Wars is the only thing they would come back for because when they grew up, like it was their absolute favorite comic, like the whole thing, like they think that's the ultimate comic event that's ever happened was the original Secret Wars. So I do think it'll be based on the more recent one, but I think there will definitely be some nods and stuff to that original. Like I would not be surprised at all if Spider-Man gets the black like symbiote from like in this or something.
I was going to
setting
say
up
that's
later
definitely
on.
going to be in there.
Yeah, I think some things like that. I think there'll be some key stuff that happened in the original one that they'll kind of, layer in to have it still happening. Because if they loved it that much and they're coming back to do it, I think they'll definitely have some fun with it.
I thought they wrote the symbiote that stayed over out in the latest Venom movie.
I think
They
that
did.
one, yes. I think I think they're going to do it more comic accurate of where it actually came from, kind of thing, and kind of cut that tie more with the Venom movies.
And
Alex,
when
did
that
you
happens,
find?
if that happens,
Alex,
If
did
we
you
got to
find-
do an actual MCU accurate Venom, oh my god, with Spider-Man, like everybody,
Ooh.
like come on, look at how Deadpool Wolverine did a Spider-Man versus Venom movie. Oh my god, with a good Venom.
yeah, if Sony can renegotiate that contract and let Marvel just do their magic to make all of them so much money, everyone would be happy.
I mean, due to Sony, that's why we didn't get what was going to be the third Spider-Man movie. I mean, it was great having Toby and Andrew Garfield in and everything, but originally, after everybody found out that that was Peter Parker, that's Spider-Man, it was going to become a Kraven movie as the bad guy. And he had like a new background where he was like an outcast of Wakanda, which is why he was such a great hunter and everything. And he was going to basically be a mercenary hunting down Spider-Man as like his greatest challenge. And we were going to get like a Kraven's Last Hunt type thing. And it would have been fucking amazing.
I'm gonna hold my thoughts on Venom real quick. Alex, did you find your panels?
No, there are two panels that were hilarious to me, and I can't find them.
Well, they
One
couldn't have
is
been that hilarious.
Susan.
I liked how in Secret Wars, we talk about funny stuff. I liked how Thanos was just kind of like an outcast homeless caveman at some points. Just
I will say, when it comes to Venom, like I do agree, it would be awesome to see which panels. Oh, your screen bored them out.
see
The,
nothing.
the
I see
panel
nothing.
of
Oh my
Thor's.
god, let me turn them, Hold up, wait a minute. Nope. God damn.
Turns his camera off. Nope, that's not it.
He logs out. Oh,
Logs out. Shit.
How should my shit off?
Very carefully.
Present?
No. Settings.
Oh, you're showing us your browser now. What are you looking at? Whoa. Wow, Sweeney does look good in that. Okay.
Shit.
Sorry, man. It's research.
all right. So Nick, while he's playing around with the computer, go on with your Venom take.
Gross.
Okay, so yeah, I do agree. I think it'd be awesome to see them introduce Venom comic accurately back like with the original Secret Wars, because that is an iconic moment in all of comic books. The introduction of the symbiote black suit. It's still an iconic suit to this day because of that comic.
Absolutely. The Black
However,
Spider-Man.
I do, going off of a little bit of the behind the scenes of what I've heard from the latest Spider-Man 2 game, like some of the fan theories I've heard about how like the reason why the symbiote got so aggressive with Peter was because of the stuff that he was going through, like the loss of Aunt May. Sorry, spoilers for anyone who doesn't know. The loss of Aunt May, loss of like his job and stuff. Like the symbiote was easily able to play off of the anger or like maybe some of the resentment Peter Parker might have towards life because of that. So I can see them doing that with the next sequel trilogy for Spider-Man, if not the next
After
movie.
dealing with all this loss of everything.
Yeah, because in the next, like at this point in Tom Holland's Peter Parker's life, yeah, he lost his Aunt May, he's lost his girlfriend, he's lost his best friend, he's lost his life essentially. So
And this was right after losing his big mentor in Tony Stark.
Well,
yeah,
have we gotten,
exactly. So there's a lot of set like darkness in Peter Parker right now in the MCU. I do like that he did choose to do what he thought was best for the other people. Like Spider-Man leads to people coming after Spider-Man in danger. So I'm not going to reintroduce myself to these people I care about, even though it's going to hurt.
Yeah, that he's like, I've got to do. I mean, it all goes back to Spider-Man's motto of, great power comes great responsibility. He knows that he's got to do what's right, but he can't put those people in danger that he loves.
Spider-Man has always been the underdog, and that's one of the things that I just love about the character.
Well, they
I
haven't
think
announced.
Russell Wilson kidnapped Alex. He's just gone now.
Oh, I do
Well, that's not
think
true.
I think I heard that they're trying to plan on Kingpin getting introduced as one of the big Spider-Man villains too, like he is in the comics.
That'd be.
And I think that, especially with Vincent D'Onofrio doing it, it's going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
I'm looking. Speaking of Kingpin, I'm so looking forward to Daredevil Born Again because I love the Daredevil Netflix series.
I'm so glad they're continuing with basically what had already happened in the series, and they didn't just throw it out like they were going to.
Yeah, they were just going to recast everyone, and then they're like, "Hey,
they weren't even going to have those characters.
Money."
Yeah,
Foggy and stuff were going to be out, and I was like, "What?"
The only two characters that were going to be recurring were Daredevil and Kingpin.
Which I mean, I'd rather have that than nothing. Like if that would have been the option,
right?
But so much better to get everybody.
Well, and even then, Kevin Feige, like he actually liked the Netflix Daredevil series.
How could you not? It was so good.
It was really good. The only one I didn't enjoy that I also watched was the Iron Fist. I watched like the first season, and I just
I think everybody agrees that was done really poorly.
I never watched Luke Cage or Jessica Jones. I did watch The Defenders, which led perfectly into season 3 of Daredevil.
Yeah, it was more like, oh, here's Daredevil season 2.5 with some other characters.
Yep.
And I mean, Sigourney Weaver as a bad guy, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Alex, you good?
Did Russell Wilson kidnap you, Alex?
Yeah, jumped. I got jumped tonight. All right.
Did he steal your Secret Wars?
Alex, did you find those panels?
No, Russell Wilson took it. He doesn't own his Secret Wars anymore. He's flying back to Pittsburgh on a private jet now.
Yeah, Russell Wilson was like, what do you mean these panels were funny? Fuck you.
Russell Wilson is apparently the real life Dr. Doom, and he's like, that wasn't funny when I made the Battle World.
That was based off of me.
I killed Thanos. Fuck you.
So one thing I want to say is there was certain characters in the comic I thought were done well, and I think it was paced pretty well, but it felt pretty abrupt towards the end.
I felt like
I
I
think
felt
that
like there were
happens a lot
definitely
in big events.
I felt like there were definitely characters that could have been used a lot more. Like, again, Spider-Man to be Spider-Man. I feel like Miles Morales had a good part of it, but like Peter Parker was just very much a side character, and I
Yeah, it
felt
was
like there
more
could
like,
have
oh
been more
hey,
there.
he's here too.
Yeah, but no, I liked what I read. I thought it was really cool.
I will say, especially in the comics, because they have so many more characters, I think it gets very difficult for a writer to give everybody equal time that deserves it. I feel like
That is
once
true
your
as well.
cast gets so big and there's so many powers, so many storylines that could be there, you just can't accommodate every single character equally the way you should. And I think that's kind of a problem they're running into with the movies as well. Like look, Shang-Chi was amazing. It was a great introductory story, great hero that a lot of people hadn't heard of, like awesome. And we've never seen him since.
Well,
it's so hard to put people in.
And it's funny because like I would love to see a second Shang-Chi for sure. I would love to see him interact with the rest of the MCU. I do think it's really funny that they just decided they're not going to make anything else with the Eternals, which has been which they've been a gripe since their movie because there's that giant celestial being in the middle of the ocean and
It's okay.
no one's talking about it.
Did you
Hey,
not hear
Captain
about that?
America. Yeah, Captain
Yeah,
America's going
the
to talk
next
about
Captain
it.
America, that's where adamantium comes from. It's going to be the body of that celestial. And basically, the nations of the world are fighting over it because it's a finite resource and it's like the strongest metal they've found.
I can see that being like an actual thing. But
yeah,
again,
they're finally doing something about it.
Yeah, they're finally. It's been.
It only took
forever.
how many years?
Yeah, but I do know they're not making because they just recently announced they're not going to be making a sequel to the Eternals. They're not going to do anything else with those characters.
Yeah, which I mean, I guess that means Harry Styles is just stuck in space being Thanos' brother.
I hate Harry Styles anyway, so
that was such a weird like cap to it. I think the only thing I'm a little sad about that is that Kit Harington. I don't think we're ever going to see Black Knight. I think that's done.
Well, and it has to go based off what we just said. It gets difficult to give all these extra characters equal screen time or equal opportunities.
At this point, we're going to be lucky to get Blade. So
we're not going to get Blade.
Well, no, did you guys hear that?
Ali.
Yeah, did you see that they're looking actually to just put Wesley Snipes back in and just keep that Blade series going with just him in there?
I mean, I think as well as it went with everybody loving him in the Deadpool Wolverine.
Absolutely.
Why not?
I also love Mahershala Ali though, because like he's a great actor. I would personally wouldn't mind seeing again, and I know that we're getting sick of the multiverse, but if we're gonna do Blade and give both Wesley Snipes and Mahershala Ali, just make it a multiverse movie. Not talk too much on the multiverse, but then make it a multiverse movie where it's.
Can we call it double bladed?
Good job, David. But do something like that where it's old Blade teaching new Blade how to.
I think both of them, and then a random variant Blade that's just like a white guy.
RDJ, RDJ's character from Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
No, that's King.
I'm hunting vampires, motherfucker.
I hate vampires. No, realistically though, I could almost see a version, especially as well as Wolverine did and everything in Deadpool. I could see them doing a Midnight Suns movie before a Blade solo movie.
Oh, that'd be
doing a team up of some of those because I know that's what they wanted to lead up to. They might just shoehorn and do that first.
Well, honestly, I think with the Mahershala Ali Blade, I think it's just been in such development hell for so long that it's time just to kind of clean the slate and try something different. And then if it takes, great, and then try again with Mahershala a couple years down the road, and then do
something like Midnight Suns that doesn't commit you to any character. Just see how people receive it. Who does well? Who do they? Yeah, throw that in there. And then go from there. Who takes off?
Yeah, Secret Wars, introduce them there, see what happens.
See, and I think that's what they're doing with Thunderbolts, which also I totally think is going to be called Dark Avengers. I think that's how they keep doing the
thought
Thunderbolts with
they-
the asterisk, and they're
Yeah.
like, that's not the title. I think
No,
it's going to be called
you're
Dark
right.
Avengers.
There is an asterisk there, and everyone's calling it out. So yeah, why is the asterisk there?
They deliberately did that
I will
because they
be.
said that's
I will
what it
be
means.
right back. I will be right back. Excuse me.
See, what I was
everybody
gonna
sign off?
say.
Everybody sign off now.
It's, you gotta make
I can still hear you, David.
You want to make fairs. You gotta make fairs. Everyone just look like love now.
No, see, what I was gonna say is, I don't even know now. I've lost it. Oh, here we go. You know what could have helped them with making their Blade movie, and I know this is something that made them throw away the last script, as they realized Blade wasn't actually in it that much. So maybe just put Blade in the Blade movie, and that is how it works well.
Whoa, what?
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 Right?
A character
That's revolutionary.
into the film.
David, I know I'm not a well sought after author, but this could work,
Maybe if you let me rewrite whatever you're thinking, and that'll to get some coherency out of it.
Actually, I have a committee here to rewrite what you just said to make it make more sense.
Yeah, to make it just a better style, because honestly, your words suck. But we'll see what we can do here.
We
And,
don't think it appeals to modern
what I'm gonna do-
audiences, so we're gonna have to try again.
Ooh, some deep cuts, both Marvel and other.
The thing is also like they already had him in voice.
What
being
if what
the
if we
lead
did this?
at
What
the
if we
end
did
of,
this?
Eternals.
If we made Alex, I will punch you in the office tomorrow. Just watch it.
Please do. Please.
No, what if we do this? What if we make a movie called Blade and then not have any characters named Blade and it's actually a rom-com?
But everybody in this world has a switchblade in their pocket.
Yeah, but you don't see that. Okay, it's gonna be like this subtle like thing you see on
It's
screen.
in the director commentary if you buy the Blu-ray afterwards.
Yep.
It's to be like, so we called
Just
it
like in
Blade
the-
because
just like in the movie Easy A. Fun fact for you if you don't know this. In the movie Easy A, the director actually tried to sneak oranges into as many shots as he could.
what?
You say why or
I don't know. I remember watching the commentary with him and Emma Stone on DVD once though, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I tried to put like, hey, look, there's an orange in your purse," and it's
You know
just,
what?
yeah, you see it fall out of her purse
So-
at one point.
Funny story about just random produce. Very quick. You know how they do those like interviews where they go to like a celebrity's house and it's like 100 questions with whoever, something like that.
Mhm.
They did one for Dakota Johnson, the Madam Web girl. This is back in her 50 Shades days, and they came in and they got to her kitchen at one point when she was giving them a tour, and apparently they go through beforehand and like fuck with your house, like add things, whatever, and they had just a pile of avocados. And she is actually deathly allergic to avocados. But she
That's
comes in and
hilarious.
sees it, and she's just like, and here's my pyramid of avocados. Like, there's like no reason for it at all. They just like, yeah, she looks like she'd have a lot of avocados. Let's just put that there.
Honestly though, I respect the audacity to mess with Dakota Johnson just because she's not very good.
Well, Alex, we are live. Put that down.
Alex, what are you doing?
It's for you.
I don't know. I have respect for her ever since she called out Ellen DeGeneres live on her show.
So I respect that moment.
That
what
alone,
I don't respect
I was like,
for
she's
being
all right with
lesbian,
me.
what did she call her out for?
For
It
being
was
a
her
rude
birthday,
person.
Yeah, Dakota Johnson she was talking about how she had a birthday party, and Ellen's like, "Oh, why wasn't I invited?" And she's like, "Actually, Ellen, you were, and you just didn't come." And she's like, "What? No." And she's like, "Yeah, no. We called so and so, like producer, to make sure you got the invite." And Ellen's like, "John, is that true?" And they're like, "Yeah." And she's like, I guess I didn't see it. She's like, "Oh, I just thought you didn't like me very much, Ellen." And
Ellen's
Yeah, no,
just-
the reason why I don't like Dakota Johnson is because she does the Katherine Heigl thing where she'll star in a movie and then she'll just talk smack on it. And it's like, don't
I mean,
fight
to
the
be
hand
fair,
that feeds
Madam
you.
Web was awful. I would have talked
That
shit
is
about
true.
it
That
too.
is true.
If I
It was their fault.
well, look, she is Don Johnson's daughter, so I think she can talk smack all she wants. I'm kidding.
You know what? I will watch Miami Vice.
Alex, what are you talking about right now?
She's
Alex,
Don
did you find those
Johnson's
panels?
Daughter.
That's for episode 2, David. He will bring
Don
up the panels
Johnson
episode 2.
from Miami Vice.
The
So,
anticipation. That's the cliffhanger.
right. Kind of speaking back to Secret Wars, a pretty big character in it was Mr. Sinister, or at least he kept showing up throughout it. Is he going to be in the MCU? Do you think that's a I mean, it feels like a character they should bring in.
I think he's going to be in more with the X-Men.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think he'll be used as a bad guy over there because he's kind of more of a mutant, kind of thing. Like bad guy wise, I think he showed up,
think
a
he'll be
lot
the-
with them.
He'll be like the Thanos of that universe, without a doubt.
Yeah, I see that later on with him. I don't think he's going to be brought up in this. However, I do know Mephisto is supposed to be in the Ironheart series, and I think that's why Ironheart didn't get canceled.
So what I can see them doing, knowing that he's gonna be, knowing that is more of an X-Men like villain than the Avengers villain, I can see them introducing him and Doom meeting in Doomsday before they have their roles in Secret Wars.
But I also feel like the way it sounds like this Doom is going to go, he's not the one to work with anybody or anything like that. You know what I mean?
True, but I mean, if we're going off of MCU plot, I just had this thought here. I think they could close out Doomsday with the scene where Doom becomes God, like at the very beginning of Secret Wars. They could close out Doomsday. They could close out Doomsday that way, and then Secret Wars, the movie, is the rest of the comic.
I think the end of Doomsday, like he's gonna have like wrecked shit with everything, and then it's like the last minutes, and he suddenly gets fucking killed, and the camera turns, and it's God Emperor Doom, and they pull up their mask, Sydney Sweeney.
Oh, sweet.
Come on, man, David. Oh, David, I thought you were actually gonna say something cool.
No, but from what I understand, realistically of who it could be, I did read that apparently Mads Mikkelsen was in talks to be Doom. I think he would have been a fantastic choice, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is the 616 Doom.
I mean,
I can see it happening. Yeah. Because if you had Robert Downey Jr. be Doom for the Fantastic Four universe and really start shit and be built up as the bad guy, and then you brought in an even stronger Doom that's God Emperor Doom as just like a fuck you and kills him, I could see that as a big cliffhanger.
Yeah, but I think if they're going to bring in a second Doom, they'll just save it for after these two movies.
I would think so, but
I think these
I also thought
movies
Kang was
are
going to be around, so
right. Well, I think these movies are let's throw as many big names in as possible and try to make a lot of money.
Okay, so here's my question. If this is going to happen, they're going to do, we all agree it's going to be Battle World, right?
Yeah, a couple of the movies will probably
two-
take place in Battle World.
Exactly. I've heard
TV
that all the
shows,
movies in between are going to be like Battle World movies, which is awesome.
including Spider-Man.
If that happens, though, for all of this to take place, what do we think is going to happen to Loki? Because he's literally the one holding it together now, stopping that kind of thing from happening.
Well, if Doom's going to be
something.
What if Loki comes in?
Yeah.
What if Loki comes? Sorry, not to cut you off, Grayson. What if Loki
yeah.
comes in at the end and is just the all-powerful being, and he just stops it all at the very end?
My thought is what if he's just Doom's right-hand guy like Strange is in the comic books, to where he is assisting Doom, just holding the universe together in one way.
Do we think that Loki would do that?
Or actually, what if he becomes what was the dude's name that was the prisoner for Doom to be God again? It was
You're talking about the character that was always hungry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Molecule Man or whatever?
Molecule
Man. Yeah, there we go. Sorry.
He could just be Molecule Man, where Doom has him captured up to basically maintain control of the entire multiverse.
Either that, or if Doom finds a way to make it to Loki and kind of kicks him out and has that like nexus of power, maybe that's where his abilities come from to make him God Emperor Doom.
That's a good point.
And then to fight that, this Loki goes to Earth to find his brother.
I can see them doing that.
Maybe Loki will play kind of the part that Hulk did for the Infinity Saga, where he like comes to Earth to warn them, like, hey, this shit's happening. Maybe it's Loki that shows up there and is like, hey, this dude that I thought was Tony Stark showed up, you know, because he's also got a history with Stark. He would know all about that.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that there's definitely something's got to happen to Loki to make Battle World a possibility.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Because he's literally the glue holding the multiverse together at this point.
But
I also think there's no way we don't eventually get that Loki-Thor reunion, even if one of them dies soon after or something like that. Like, they've got to get them back together at some point.
Well, they have the end of their contracts, right?
They have introduced Valhalla.
Yeah, but I
just saying they could have the reunion there at the end, like in the end.
Yeah. But I do think, I know for a fact we're at least getting Thor 5.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think that's going to happen before Secret War. I mean, I guess it might, but I think all that's going to happen basically in Battle World.
So is the Deadpool scene with, Thor holding him from Secret Wars or the Thor movie?
I think they're going to parody
it's actually going to be the other. It's actually going to be the other Deadpool movie. Because like they had Deadpool and Wolverine, they're gonna have Deadpool and Spider-Man. They're gonna have Deadpool and Thor. Just all the sequels for Deadpool are just gonna be Deadpool and another MCU character.
I mean, I'd watch it.
Deadpool and Hitmonkey. I mean, sign me up. I'm all for this.
Deadpool and Kevin Bacon.
Deadpool and Groot coming to theaters.
Alex, why are you muted? Let's unmute you.
He's eating something.
Oh, you're eating. Okay, well, you're muted again. Eat in peace.
Oh, sorry, I'm muted. Yeah, hello.
Alex, did you ever find those panels?
You can't work on an empty stomach, bro. Calm down.
Well, I know, but it's getting late here, so I was just trying to see if we wanted to wrap this up here soon.
Hey, Alex, are you feeling dangerous right now?
My middle name is Dangerous.
Are you listening to? Are you listening?
Yeah.
Are you've been drinking? Are you listening to Linkin Park?
Deep in the field.
Falling in my skin.
I gotta go.
Worse.
God, David, I gotta go.
It's getting late.
Something. Yes.
What about Marvel zombies? I mean,
sorry, I'm getting very violent.
they have their role in this run for a little bit.
I think it's very much a at least this show coming out. I don't think it's going to be part of anything. It's just there.
I don't even think
I think people just liked it.
I barely even counted it as part of Secret Wars. Like, yeah, I see what you're saying. It was.
It's like, I guess it was a thing.
It was a little bit of a thing.
Battle World was for.
I don't think it's going to be a major player for the film.
I don't think we're going to see a single zombie. I think at best they'll say the zombie series coming out takes place in Battle World. And in this land, it's zombies. That's the best you're going to get. They're not going to be on the screen in the theaters. You're not going to see it.
No.
Yeah, I think that'll pull away from the story too much.
Well, what about do we get Cyclops in the movies? Because here he has the Phoenix power. Is Strange going to have his role, or like Grayson said, is Loki going to fill that one?
I don't think Phoenix is going to come into it at all. There's not going to be any Phoenix powers.
No, I mean, with Captain Marvel or one of the like Monica Rambeau or Kamala Khan in some way to kind of like take the place of the power that is the Phoenix Force.
Yeah, I can see that happening because I mean, I don't know if they're gonna have enough time to introduce all of that.
And people are still burned out from all the
in the
Phoenix
MCU
stuff and the old X-Men stuff.
Yeah, plus they haven't even announced any X-Men anything, so that's going to be way too early to introduce that deep of a concept. And
I do also think they're building up the items like Shang-Chi's rings, Kamala Khan's bangles, things like that. I think that's going to have some big significance of being like multiversal power kind of thing. I don't know what all the items will be, but I think it's going to be kind of like how we have anchor beings. I think there's going to be like special items, like only one version exists in like the multiverse or some crap like that.
Yeah.
Just because.
Well, what about the Infinity Gauntlet? Because it plays a role here. We see T'Challa
It does.
having, yeah, he has the Infinity Gauntlet. Do we see a return of it here in Secret Wars?
Well,
So
technically,
I was actually.
it's
so-
been destroyed and all the stones have been returned back to their original timeline. So you like if they can't really go back to that well again.
It's kind of rewriting it, and for a movie, like for comics, it's great. You can bring it back as many times as you want. But if they did it in movies, people are going to be like, "Oh, we just had that. Why are they back? What's going on?" You know, especially
the
after we saw
reason-
the TVA where they literally had the stones used as paperweights.
So that's what I was gonna say. I can see them bringing it back just because of the way it's brought up in the TVA. I can see them bringing it back like it's just an object that's laying around, and you know whoever is going to be the right hand man or replace the role of Stephen Strange in the movie version of this comic. I think that will be how they bring back an Infinity Gauntlet.
I mean, they could also just make it like a false object. Like if they're gonna do like what David was talking about, having like Shang-Chi's bangle or rings or Kamala Khan's bangles. It could be just another like false item to give them like a sense of we have the ultimate tool to beat God Doom in the Secret Wars, but then it just turns out to be a fluke because it's not the real gauntlet.
Well,
could
and
also
even
see,
going off
like-
that, it was kind of a fluke item in this comic. Like
I could also
it was
see
barely even used.
somebody from like another continuity, like not 616, but they see like another dimensions heroes have gathered up an Infinity Gauntlet, and they try to use it against Doom, and he just literally like flicks it aside or something, just to show that power is nothing compared to him, kind of thing. So that we're like, oh shit, he's really strong.
Well,
Yep, I can see that.
To like address the idea of like the zombies, I think they're not going to really bring that back. But if they're going to do like the Secret Wars and the multiverse, they're going to probably start doing like a lot of fan casting to start bringing in like all the multiple options just to see what's going to work in those kind of situations. And then that'll end up being the distraction that they use as part of the plan. If they go kind of along the same storyline as the comic book is what I could see possibly happening in that movie to be like, let's see what sticks in these scenarios.
Yeah, like a few months ago, there was no way in fucking hell that Channing Tatum would ever get to do a Gambit movie. But now with how popular it got, there's a chance.
Hooey. Oh, make myself a name today.
I mean, like they're gonna do whatever's gonna make them money. If like he was just saying, if they can throw in a bunch of fan casting of characters that people fall in love with, then they're like, I'd go see that movie. Guess what's gonna become a movie?
Yep.
And why not? I mean, you got this chance to basically start the MCU over, but already have the rabid fans ready to jump on board with whatever you do. So as long as they do it well and make it something exciting, they can do anything they want now. This is the closest they're going to get to a blank slate for a very long time. This is their chance to retcon literally everything that's happened before and start anew with younger people, with a new cast, with new storylines, bringing in mutants. This is basically their free-for-all moment going off from here.
Honestly, on that same line, I think if Marvel is going to be smart with it, they should split it up into two parts just because my thought is that if they do end up start doing like, wild crap where they're just testing to see which hero goes here, which hero like fans like, if they split it up into two parts, they'll start, trying to adjust the storyline to see who they want to finalize into the universe. And I think that would be a better call if that was what they ended up doing, but we don't know what that's going to be yet.
So question for the panel here. Do we have an idea of what would be the ending of the MCU?
Like at at the very end when everything's all done?
Yeah, like what the final storyline they'll roll out.
I don't think it'll ever happen.
Yeah, no. Comics will.
Yeah, I mean, comics they reboot time and time again, like we kind of said at the beginning.
I mean,
Well,
honestly,
yeah,
I
but
thought
hang on.
Galactus was going to eventually be like a Thanos level threat where everybody, and not just used for Fantastic Four, which
So hang
still
on,
could be a thing.
I'm not talking about like reboots, because obviously, yes, reboots.
You're
are
talking
a
about
thing
the
in
very end, right?
I'm talking
this
like
is
the
it.
end of the current MCU run. Like I can see maybe 20 years, 30 years, whatever, when down the road, them bringing back and doing another run for the MCU. But
I don't think they'll
what do
do
you
it.
think would be the end of this current MCU run?
MCU versus DCU.
I mean, honestly, they've said that they might do. I mean, there is a precedent in the comics too. They
I
did
know
do a
Darkseid
crossover
just flicked
series.
away the Infinity Gauntlet and said, "What the hell is this?" and then beat up
Yeah.
Thanos.
Like, who knows? I don't think there's any storyline out there yet that I would say that could be a good final thing. I guess maybe this, but we know this
Yeah.
isn't going to be it. So
No.
I don't know what you do bigger than this. Again, I kind of thought Galactus was eventually going to be a huge, like, major end of things threat, trying to get rid of him. But from what I understand, I guess he's a Nexus being where he doesn't have any variants, is what they're going to say in Fantastic Four. And I think he's going to devour that multiverse, that universe over there. And that's what's going to cause Fantastic Four to have to come here.
That's
See,
what I was kind of thinking.
I can see at one point people just getting, no offense to anybody here, but I can see people getting sick and tired of comic book movies.
Well, I kind of think it's happening currently.
I think it's happened, and then stuff. If they keep doing stuff though, like Deadpool, Wolverine, it'll get. I mean, they have to keep making good movies.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Well,
they
I
have to
mean,
keep making good movies,
yeah.
but
If they start
with
phoning
the-
it in again, what they did for a little bit there, it's going to die.
I mean, to that point too, Kevin Feige's going to get old, so there's going to have to be a certain point where he has his swan song and has to step down as the producer of Marvel, and then there will be what we all know and love as, Kevin Feige's Marvel universe. There will have to be that send off to at least that era, because then somebody else is going to have to step in to fill a really big role over at Marvel. So there will be a quote unquote end, but I don't know if it's going to be the end of Marvel movies overall. It'll just be another, like, they could probably bring back Kang or something like that to reset the timeline, but I don't think there's, as David said, going to be like a whole end to Marvel as a unit. It's just going to be.
I don't think there's ever going to be a like, let's let it rest for a decade or two. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, we're going to put that on the shelf. Yeah,
it makes way too much money. There's too many ways to get it out there now. Like, it will always be a consistent thing for the rest of at least our lives.
Yeah, I think
it's like Batman. It just keeps coming out. Like, even if they're like, we're gonna let it rest, every couple of years there's a new one.
Yeah,
I think they'll start
there's
doing
too many
like
people involved. It makes too much money. It's not going anywhere for at least a century.
Well, they'll probably do what they're doing like this year, where they're just going to start like slowing down like productions when they're trying to figure out like where they want to go, what they want to do, and then
I think we're in the closest we're ever going to see to a like reboot.
Absolutely.
They stop and restart. This is it. Like, oh, there's only 2 projects this year, something like that. I don't think they're ever going to say, let's let it rest for 5 years and pick it. No, not going to happen.
We're going to go down from 24 productions a year to, we got maybe 4 or 5 coming out to just revamp, and then we're going to start churning out the machine again.
It'll be a trickle instead of a flood, but that river's still flowing.
Oh yeah.
I would love to
see. You got money to make, boys.
I would love to see them reboot Iron Man when we have the technology to make the Iron Man suits.
I mean, we almost do now.
Oh, I know we almost do now, but it'd be really funny if it's like, oh yeah, that's an average like Spirit Halloween costume.
Now that's the kind of thing though that I think can happen after Secret Wars. We could theoretically have everybody kind of
Russell Wilson got him, Nick.
Oh,
that is Russell Wilson. He's just wearing an Alex mask.
I'm Tilly.
I mean, he did say he was feeling danger, Russ.
Well, I imagine that's why he keeps slipping off the webcam. So I'm guessing that's why it's happening.
It's all right, Russell. We forgive you.
It's for you, baby. That's for you, baby.
All righty. What else do we want to talk about, gentlemen?
Well, what are your kind of final thoughts, each of you? We'll go one by one on this comic and give like a rating. Alex, starting with you.
Rating of Secret Wars?
Out of 10, yeah.
What's our maximum rating?
10.
Out of 10.
10.
1-0.
This comic, I don't know, like, it's bizarre. Oh, he left.
Whoa, where did Nick go?
You're already losing him.
Nick, you left. They left Nick. Anyway, so I read the comic.
Good.
That was the point.
Thanks, David, for acknowledging that I read.
We're very proud of you, Russell.
Thank you so No, it's bizarre because like there's a whole story before this and a whole story after this. I'm just like lost in the sauce, as I say.
So out of 10.
So yes, out of 10, I would say 5 out of 10, because I don't know, it's weird.
All right, middle of the road.
Middle of the
Okay.
road. Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's not
Grayson.
bad. That's not a bad measurement there. So yeah,
No, it's average.
average for sure.
I'll give it a 7.6 out of 10. The artwork was really good. The story was kind of out there. I feel like there would have been more appreciation if I would have like going deeper into like, you know, the battle world, like territories and the side stories and all that kind of stuff. Probably would have added, you know, a lot more to the actual overall story. But for the most part, I thought it was pretty good. I like the, you know, some of the creative ideas behind it, and just honestly, overall the visuals, it was my favorite part of it. So that definitely upped the score for me, but 7.6.
Really? Okay, fair enough.
David, what about you?
I'm gonna give it a solid 8. I think it was a very solid series. I definitely enjoyed some of the offshoots of it, like Deadpool's Secret Wars, which were secret wars that were happening inside the Secret Wars.
Yes.
I enjoyed the callbacks to other events that had happened, such as Civil War and things like that. Some of the worlds was like with Devil Dinosaur, and it was like prehistoric days. Like there were some very interesting concepts. I think it gave the writers a little more creativity than they usually get to just do off the wall kind of things. Like even Zombies got a whole run of comics that were in that storyline. So it was kind of the what if of its time for right then. And, you know, I do think it was drawn out a little bit. The whole God Emperor Doom storyline and things, I think it could have been a little tighter. But again, I get that they were trying to give every hero at least a little bit of time. So I understand that for the main story. It made sense. They did a good job of paying, you know, homage to the original Secret Wars event, but still making it its own thing. It wasn't just a rehash of what had happened before. It was something that kind of brought together a new storyline and still honored the past without rehashing it. So I definitely enjoyed that. And yeah, I mean, I think it was very solid. I'm very interested to see how it ties in with what they take and don't take for the movies. There's definitely a lot of directions they could go, as we've kind of discussed here. So it'll be very interesting in these couple of years leading up to it, what castings come out, what leaks, you know, show us where the storyline's going. Ultimately, you all right there, Russell? I know you didn't get that touchdown, buddy, but you don't got to destroy your room. Anyways, I think ultimately its job was to allow them to reset the universe, to restart, reboot everything. And I think it accomplished its job. It did what it was meant to do. It gave them that fresh canvas to bring over what they liked and retool whatever they didn't, to make things completely new and get a fresh start. And I think that's exactly what it's going to do for the movies. So solid 8.
Hey, sorry about that, guys. I went to go wipe a hair off my computer screen, and unfortunately, it's touchscreen, and the hair was right over the Leave Studio. But so I was like, no, that should be fine. And then I was like, oh, I left on accident. So I'm sorry about that. Alex, I missed your score. What did you give it out of 10?
He gave it
5.
a 5.
You give it a 5, and then I just heard you give it an 8. Grayson, did you go yet?
Yeah, I gave it a 7.6.
Oh, okay. We're doing points.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
if
know.
we're that's well,
Couldn't even round down to 0.5. He had to say 0.6.
he asked, I gave him an honest answer. That's all I can tell you.
That's okay. I like it.
I only
Oh,
asked
and I
for
do want to
honesty.
mention, I agree with what you said, Grayson. And Alex mentioned this too. The visuals were really good. I think the art, the
Okay.
coloring, everything in this, they did a great job. It's a beautiful looking comic.
Absolutely.
Even if the story was awful, just the art alone would have given it 2 or 3 points, in my opinion, on its own. So
Okay.
very, very solid work all the way across with this one. Very good stylization.
I agree with that. There were like some really good panels where it was clearly done by colored pencil. So good.
Yeah, they knocked it out of the park with that. They did a very good job.
Sorry.
I mean, honestly, the thing, because like just stepping out of the wall, that was pretty sick.
I hope they do that in the movie,
That'd be awesome, dude.
even if it's just the Fantastic Four one. Like, I'd love to see that.
All right, so Nick, now that you've heard all that, what is your rating?
I mean, my rating, I'd probably align more with like Grayson, like probably 7.5 or 7.6 out of 10.
We're
I
ranking out of 100. Did we not tell you? I'm sorry. It's out of 100.
Okay, fine. I'm not Russell in this situation, am I? What's going on? I thought
You're
Alex
still-
was Russell. Am I switching? Is this you recasting my role here? What's going on?
Yeah, we just had a secret. This was Battle World. We're all new now.
Nick,
I
you're
somehow
always-
transported.
No, you're always the main character from Snakes on a plane, so it's okay. We're not going to recast you.
Actually, he's Keegan Warm now.
Semi.
Keegan
Yeah.
Warm. Yeah,
Keegan Warm.
I've been. He's like, I've been warm my whole life. It's on my birth certificate. It's the same thing he does with Cool. He's
Heard
like,
you ladies were looking for somebody hot. I'm pretty warm myself.
No, so I definitely, again, I enjoyed it for what it is. It is a good, like David just kept on saying, it is a good thing to set up to keep what they wanted to keep and to kind of give it a blank slate going forward. I do, like I said earlier in the evening, I thought a lot about the MCU and how certain characters currently in the MCU could fulfill certain roles, or how certain elements introduced in the current MCU could play a factor into this going forward. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, 7.6 or 76 out of 100 if we're going that route. I will say too, just because it popped in my head, and I don't want to forget it. The first comic series I ever read was actually the Marvel Civil War between.
Oh, nice. The original one.
Yeah, back. I mean, what year was the original one? It was like 2000s, right?
Yeah, Captain
Yeah.
America, Iron Man.
Yep, I read that. That was the original. That was the first comics I ever read. Like my friend
And
was
that was
reading them.
so different than what they ended up doing in the movie.
Well, well, that's because there's a lot of things that they couldn't do from the comic in the movie.
You got to build it up way more than what they did for. Yeah,
Yeah, like
I thought the movie was
especially-
great. They did a good job.
Well, yeah, the movie was great, and I loved that they were able to bring in Spider-Man for that movie. However, the character of Spider-Man has such a different role in the comics.
That he's basically they brought in T'Challa to be Spider-Man until they got the rights to Spider-Man, and then that role just kind of fell.
Yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, I hope for like I said, like with my question earlier, I don't necessarily want the MCU to end. It, like you said, it's going to be a trickle more than a complete shut off of that river flowing. But I mean, I would like to see certain things kind of stop and certain things go forward.
So you want to see some things wrap up?
Yeah, I want to see some storylines wrap up versus just keeping these. As much as I love the joke, I don't want to see Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine until he's 90.
No. I think we get maybe one or two, like do Secret Wars and let him pass it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when we get into the Age of Mutants, when we have an actual X-Men movie from MCU, it's got to be fresh, everybody.
Henry Cavill.
I would be okay with it.
I will
I'd be
ride.
okay with it.
So I think that's why they put him in, just to kind of
Gauge.
I don't think it was like when they put obviously what's his face as Mr. Fantastic.
I still
John
think that was.
Krasinski.
I think that was still a possibility at the time.
I think John Krasinski could have made a decent, not a great, because I don't believe John Krasinski is a super smart scientist kind of person, but I did like him as Mr. Fantastic in Doctor Strange Multiverse of
Yeah,
Madness.
Pedro is an interesting choice. I'm not gonna knock it till I see it because I do love Pedro, but
I just don't want to see
it's not who I would have cast.
I don't want to see Pedro Pascal die again on screen. I'd like to see one of his characters live.
I think Mando might make it. Maybe.
I hope so.
Don't hold your breath now.
All right, Keegan. 1 to 10.
All right, so this
No,
one
no,
for
no.
me.
0 out of 100.
All right, so 1 out of 10.
Wow.
No. So this one for me, I mean, there's points of it I really enjoyed when it was kind of stripped down to just a handful of characters. The Doom stuff I thought was good with kind of just setting that up. But at points it did feel pretty clustered and just felt like it needed more time. And once it started feeling like it was going to give itself more time, it just wrapped up and just kind of left a I don't know, a weird taste. And I was like, man, we need more, I guess, good trades of Doom, and Marvel just doesn't give it to us. I would say probably 7 out of 10 for me, because there was parts I really enjoyed, but I just felt like the ending was built up in a way that
Didn't deliver.
it definitely didn't deliver. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just
Almost.
felt so
It was
quick.
close.
Yeah,
But
I think if they gave themselves another issue or two to like wrap it up properly, but I don't know if it's much like Doomsday Clock where they were planning more and then ended up having to go short. It could have been that kind of thing, but there was things I really enjoyed and things I could see them bringing over. Um, at points, there were too many characters, but obviously it's a big event. But it would just jump back and forth. So when it was stripped down to like just the Fantastic Four, Doom, T'Challa, the Spider-Man, I think it was good.
I agree.
I will say I did like that even in the end, Mr. Fantastic gave Doom a happy ending
Mhm.
by putting his
That's
face
who Reed
back
Richards
together.
is.
Yeah. He's a good
Okay.
guy.
So before we end, I just want to ask one question. We don't even have to elaborate. You can just give me a yes or no. In these next two movies, Doomsday, I'll say Secret Wars because it's not going to happen in Doomsday, I don't think. In Secret Wars, will we see Robert Downey Jr. back as Tony Stark?
Fighting RDJ as Doctor Doom.
Will we
That's
see a
what-
scene
You know,
of
I can
classic
see,
Iron Man?
I can see the resurrection of Tony Stark working only if that is the case. If you
I-
bring back Tony Stark with RDJ in any other way, where like
And I don't necessarily
in
mean
any
bringing
other
him
way.
back, but just as like a variant or something.
Well,
Do
yeah,
we see
just
him
I'm
in
just
the
saying
suit
you could.
one more time?
You have to be very careful because you do not want to take away from the sacrifice that Tony Stark made
Absolutely.
in Endgame. Same thing that they kind of did with
So
Deadpool and Wolverine. They didn't want to touch Logan. That was
and then he
its
touched him
own
all
thing.
over.
Yeah, I was gonna say they touched every
in many
bone in his
inappropriate
body.
ways.
So it's a yes or no. Do we
Yeah.
see Tony Stark, RDJ one more time? Yes or no?
David, my answer: we see RDJ, but not played by Tony Stark or by
We
Okay.
see Robert Downey Jr.
He's not played by Tony Stark.
We just see
Surviving of it.
RDJ, just Robert Downey Jr. is the actor. It's just like, what the hell?
That's how
To
the
be-
end. That's how the
So-
MCU ends.
No,
it just
no.
comes out
Are-
with RDJ being like, "Well, that was Marvel for you guys."
No,
At the
this
end,
is
it's just
mine.
RDJ finishing reading a script. He closes it, hands it to Kevin Feige. He's like, I'm not feeling it.
No, so this is mine. We see Tony Stark. It's not RDJ, but it's someone that
Is it the Tom Cruise?
it is Tom Cruise. I think they
No,
want to make money. They already
No.
were going to bring him back in for Doctor Strange, but timing didn't work out. They want to
Okay,
make
so
money.
your answer is a no.
No for RDJ.
No
as Tony
RDJ
Stark.
Tony Stark.
Yes, for Tom Cruise, because then they can just reboot him after this with somebody else.
Okay, Alex, what do you think? Yes or no?
To what now? This question?
Do we see Robert Downey Jr. back as Tony Stark in Secret Wars at any point? Even if it's just a quick
No.
scene and Doom
No.
fucking kills him, do we see him?
No. They cast him to be Doctor Doom, and that's it.
Okay.
I
Grayson?
think Doom kills Kang in Doomsday.
100%.
I could see it.
Kang is done. Like they will not bring Kang back. That's my video.
I'm
right,
saying
Grayson, what-
RDJ coming back as Iron Man.
You say yes or no? What'd you say?
I say yes.
You say yes?
Disney likes money too much. They're gonna give it a shot. It's gonna happen.
I think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna be long. I don't think it's gonna be like super meaningful. I think if you have RDJ on set, you have to do
in
it.
and out.
I can see it. I can see them doing like kind of what they did at the end of No Way Home. You know, bringing RDJ back to defeat Doctor Doom. RDJ, and at the end he just says goodbye, and that's the last.
Like,
we see of
yeah,
RDJ
even
in
if
the
it's
MCU.
like now that we're in Battle World, maybe for some reason they have to gather up like all the anchor beings for something or some fucking thing like that, and Iron Man RDJ is one of them, or so, you know, like the final piece needed or something like that.
Oh, what if this, guys? What if we bring back RDJ's Tony Stark just to have him snap the Infinity Gauntlet again and die again on screen? Just be like, and I am Iron Man, and that's the
And
end.
then you have Deadpool
Doomsday.
just be like, I feel like I've seen this before.
Yep, there we go.
Well, I mean,
Punch it.
if they do copy the storyline, they do need to have like the police force. So if they replace the Thors with Iron Man as the police force, it is.
That would be so cool. That'd be a great
Right.
idea.
But I could see that being like the way they try to like sneak that in there, where like you see the millions of different possibilities of Iron Man, and you just see one RDJ as Tony Stark just hanging out in the background
As like the chief or something.
Exactly.
Playing
the
Space
elder
Invaders.
the elder Tony Stark that leads the other Tony Starks.
Also, I think we totally see Chris Evans back.
100%.
We're gonna get some more Cap.
Do we see Chris Evans back as Captain, or do we see him
Captain.
back as?
It's not going to be a Human Torch again. They did it. They did that joke. It's over. We'll get actual Captain America back, even if it's just to like give advice to Sam or something. You know what I mean? Like he'll be there.
Change my diapers, Sam. Hey.
Sam, check this out. Have you ever seen a 50,000-year-old man do a backflip?
You ever heard of this thing called Fiber One? It's so good for you.
And on that note,
it's my favorite meal for the day.
Speaking of fiber, I just discovered quantum fiber internet the other day. Fast and reliable.
Okay, guys, Keegan is a very renowned and sought after creator. So we need to stop wasting his time.
Yeah, we need to let him cook.
Hey, I was going to say, I think we see Chris Evans back as Jensen, his character from The Losers.
The Losers. Yes.
No. We see him walk on with the whipped cream bikini from Varsity Blues, right?
We see him walk back in with the other 7 evil X's, and they become the main villains of the next phase of the MCU.
And Scott Pilgrim ends up being the savior of everything at the end.
Scott Pilgrim's the anchor being of the MCU going forward.
Yeah, like at the end of Scott Pilgrim, when they went through that door that you never saw, it was into the MCU. He and Ramona are now here.
I guess I'm the real God being. Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
No, but on that note, guys, if you guys want to see us again live, it'll be as far as like the comic podcast. It'll be September 23rd. We'll be back, and we'll be talking The Crow. So if you guys want to read the Crow graphic novel, and
I'd say, God, I've already got a lot to say about that.
Did you see the movie already?
No.
Oh, okay, good. I haven't either, but I've saw the
I've seen a lot about the movie though.
I've seen people that are usually pretty apologetic about movies not be apologetic about this one.
Yeah, Keegan, do you just?
It was just so weird to cast Sydney Sweeney as the main character. Like,
I mean, they knew they had a ball on their hands. They just had to figure something out.
I mean, I heard it's great to watch on mute, so maybe we'll see.
Yeah, so why don't you guys join us? September 23rd, we'll be talking the new Crow movie, the original classic with Brandon Lee, perhaps like City of Angels, as well as obviously the graphic novel that inspired it all, and give our thoughts. Each month we kind of have a theme going on, so just stick with us. If you want to see more of us, though, we will also be doing our live sports podcast this Thursday. The battle is now between me and David to jump over Bobby and get Bo Nix. I heard a rumor in the rumor mill today at the office. Yeah, I mean, Alex and Nick were talking. They were placing bets who was not going to get Bo Nix. Was it Bobby? Was it me? Was it you? Did I just buy a $45 Bo Nix jersey just for a bet? We'll find out. Just tune in Thursday. You'll find out. David, anything coming up on your channel for people to check out? I know you were teasing some stuff today.
Yeah, no, we're finishing up our celebration of the Disney 100 with our video at the Magic Kingdom. And staying in theme park news, this is something that you're not going to see on the channel for quite a while, but a week and a half from now, we are headed to Ohio to film a big special out at Cedar Point. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, worth checking out for sure. If you guys haven't, make sure to go jump over to Abnormal Voyages on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you want hats like that, I don't know, David might be selling them. If you want them to say
Something this
Sweeney,
holiday
I don't know.
season, get yourself a little abnormal.
Yeah, see, next Halloween season, this year, you know, Nick already called it. We're all gonna do Deadpool and Wolverine characters. Next year, all Sydney Sweeney characters. So just stay tuned. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Be still my heart. Dibs on Black Cat.
Dibs on her Madam Web character.
Ooh, good one.
Alex, any exciting news from you, or you'll just be back for the next comic podcast, maybe a deep dive or two?
Nothing from me. Just the next delicious podcast.
I heard you were getting ready for some big national convention that's coming up soon. Can you tell us more about that? Or is that
Is it secret? You can't tell us yet?
I get it. Got to keep those cons secret.
Well, it's so secret.
He can't.
I was like, I don't think he realizes he's on mute. But he might.
He didn't mute it. The convention organizers did.
All right, so Grayson, what about you?
Shut up.
No, yeah. If you decide to have me on again, I'll be here. No, it's later than September 23rd, but I do just have one question, Keegan, is if we die of boredom from watching The Crow, do our tortured souls get to take the vengeance out on you or the filmmakers? I'm just a little curious.
I think
we get to take it out on Sydney Sweeney.
Oh, I'd like to take. Never mind.
Wait. Nick, what are you saying right now?
I was saying we get to take it out on Sydney Sweeney because apparently David sees her everywhere.
Not Sydney Sweeney. She's so sweet. I love her. She's great.
She is good.
Pretty.
Yeah, we speak of sweet things.
Keegan, you're muted.
I was gonna say you're saying our souls, Grayson, you know, in the afterlife, but that just might not be the right terminology. You know, it could be like non-human, like celestial beings. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
All right,
things.
All right. That's where I'm out. Also, before I leave, I just want to say I love dogs. One of the best animals out there. I think dogs truly are man's best friend. So spay and neuter your pets and keep those lovely dog populations going, guys.
Hey,
I think
David,
we can all get behind that.
Are you going to be back on Thursday for this awesome bit?
Absolutely. I'm going after Bo Nix, man. Got to make it happen.
Hey, if you guys want to know more, just stay tuned Wednesday. Like I said, shorts going live. It'll be hilarious. But
take it easy, guys. It's been fun. Thank you.
Peace.
See you next time.
If I can actually hit end stream.